He went as a priest and I went as a Catholic schoolgirl. I was in my school uniform.
Yeah,
Well,
from actual school.
from actual school.
It wasn't like one of those like Halloween store schoolgirl costumes. It was legitimate.
No. What I wore to my Catholic high school.
Before we dive into today's episode, we do want to give a little bit of a trigger warning. We're talking about some spooky stuff. We're talking about true crime. There is talks of suicide, of murder of a young girl, and all the different things. So if you are not in the right state of mind to listen to this kind of content, I know this can be heavier. It is spooky season, but sometimes this can just be too much to listen to. We totally understand. Just skip through this episode and we will see you guys for the next one. Welcome back to Bestie Tales. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, you might see us looking a little different.
What?
Might see us looking like we are in our true, honestly, our truest
true
forms.
That's
I
all you need to
never
know.
felt more myself in my life. We decided for this special episode today, we're not only just doing a Bestie Tales, but we're doing a Bestie Tales spooky stories version in lieu of it being spooky season and Halloween this week. It's so exciting.
Guys.
And we decided to dress up. So if you're just listening, that's okay. Maybe like use your imagination here. I am in what is supposed to be an adult cow costume, but it's feeling like a preteen costume
It's
with the way that it's
giving
fitting.
like pubescent. I would
Yes, I'm like
say.
choking myself out in this onesie because it's so goddamn tight and like my big calves are just not fitting in it. Like it's just the dogs are out, we're sweating. I'm like pooling and sweating this. But other than that, I'm feeling really like my most, I don't know, my most true self.
Well, do you want to tell the besties what your first word was?
Thank you. My first word was cow. It really was. So I always feel like a special connection with cows. Anytime I see them, I'm like, they are me and I am them. I am one with cows. And I feel like cows are really spiritual animals too. You know, they feel so many feelings just like me. And I'm like, we are one and the same. So I figured a cow onesie was super fitting. Do you want to describe to the class what you decided to pick out to wear?
Sophia already kind of said we are representing our truest forms. And I would say
This is a pretty true depiction
you guys,
of you.
I am in a sloth onesie.
Yes.
Like an adult sloth onesie. This is a true adult onesie, I would say.
Yeah.
Unlike what Sophia is wearing. I have room to breathe. I have room to move. I have room to sloth. Honestly,
You are a sloth.
I am. I love a good rot session. I love a good couch potato day.
If you're looking at the video,
I'm trying to get like my little talons like out.
Like little claws on the onesie.
Except it's making me like real itchy.
Yeah, you can't itch because you've got fur.
And it's nice synthetic fur.
Yeah, it's a nice synthetic dry fur. But she's got talons and claws, and that's like so also very true to you because you too have real talons and claws.
I do.
My nose has been itchy too.
Well, and the worst part is that I go to itch my nose and I'm itching with the synthetic talon.
Nothing like it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a once in a lifetime experience that you're having.
I've never worn a onesie. Sophia has been a onesie girl for a very long time.
For Halloween, I'm not
Kinda
a huge
like,
Halloween dress up gal. I love to just like hang out on Halloween. I love the vibes, but I've never been one to dress up and do anything like too extravagant. I wore onesies pretty much all throughout college when all of my friends were dressing up sexy because obviously like, you know, pick me, right? Choose me, pick me. I was in the onesie. They were all in
you were that kind of bitch.
Sexy costumes. I just like could not.
As much as I tried to be sexy, it just...
There was one year I was a SWAT girl and I had my titties pushed to the moon. And I looked good.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
That was good.
That was a good moment, I will say. But it was still like a onesie. I don't know what.
I know my worst Halloween moment. I was dressed as a schoolgirl. It was a handcuffs and fifths party. So it was my
tragic.
Maybe within my first 3 weeks of being a freshman in college. And I was handcuffed to a boy, and it was dynamic duos. He went as a priest, and I went as a Catholic schoolgirl. And
quite the combination.
I was in my school uniform from
actual school.
From actual school.
It wasn't like one of those like Halloween store schoolgirl costumes. It was legitimate.
No. What I wore to my Catholic high school, all girls Catholic high school.
Yeah.
I wore that to a college party.
You did. Handcuffs and fifths. Had to finish the fifth in order to get unhandcuffed.
Still
Crazy.
struggle with artificial watermelon flavors to this day.
Oof. Yeah.
So,
yours is watermelon. Mine's raspberry.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Mine's raspberry. I can't have like raspberry anything
Oh, yeah. It's
anymore.
just, no.
Raspberry Smirnoff. Just a tough moment in our lives, but we're okay now. And I feel like
we're good.
Halloween, if anybody is in college listening to this, or maybe you're like doing a Halloween weekend with your college besties and you're reuniting, let's just go out and say that shit always goes down.
Oh my
God. Arguably the most dramatic weekend of the year is Halloween weekend. Yes. Always, always, always something goes down within your friend group that's like not good.
Yeah.
It's not good. So just be safe.
I have a friend who is traveling to Michigan this week, I would say, for the Oregon-Michigan game. And she's like, I'm frightened because I land in a college town. I land in Ann Arbor
Halloween weekend.
on Halloween day.
Nothing more spooky.
We were just talking about it at dinner, and she was like, it was war times.
Yeah.
It was.
You're in the trenches.
Yes.
Yeah.
Halloween
weekend was so
notoriously.
Shit always went down.
And yeah, she was my friend from Oregon. So Godspeed,
yeah.
Emma girl, in your travels to a college city.
If anybody's
Halloween.
going back to college to celebrate, or you're reuniting with your college besties in a town or whatever, everybody just know that shit always goes down. Stay safe. Do not take drinks from people that you don't see like are making it yourself. Don't take random drinks from people. Buddy system, always, always, always. And when you're Ubering, don't fall asleep in the Uber. Do not do that. Just be safe, you guys, because it can be, it's scary. It's scary times out there, and just be safe, for the girls. Buddy system always. Do not leave alone. There are no Irish goodbyes on Halloween weekend. You hear me? You are not going to be running by yourself.
Like, people are dressed up as different people. Like, the origins of Halloween are very dark and deep and things like that. So just be wary of who you're engaging with. Have your fun. Just because it's spooky season does not mean it needs to be scary.
Yes.
Right?
Amen.
Have fun.
Have fun. And with that being said, you guys, we're going to dive into the spooky bestie tales. I'm really excited. These are really good. You guys wrote in some really fun tales. Some of them are like spooky, haunted, paranormal. Some of them are just like a woman's intuition. Some of them are like you're talking to your family from the afterlife and stuff like that. It's really fun. So thank you guys for writing in. I'm so excited because I am a firm believer in paranormal, and you don't have to be. And it's totally okay if you don't believe in this stuff and you're just like not into it. It's not part of your belief system. Totally fine. Totally fair. We know so many people who are just like, nope, not into it. Doesn't exist. Don't want to think about it. I love that for you. And I totally think that is a fair thing. I definitely lean more towards believing. I would say I'm more in tune with my energetic side with spirits. And I've had cases myself where I'm like, oh, that didn't sit right.
Bit clairvoyant over here.
I am a medium, and that's exactly. No, kidding. That would be so cool, though. I wonder if I really tapped. How do mediums know that they're mediums?
How do you decipher between a spirit and schizophrenia? That's what I want to know.
That's actually a really good point.
So it's like, are the voices?
How do you know?
What are the voices?
Because they're, I don't know. That's a really good.
You know how some mediums though can feel the actual, like
spirit
hurt and feel of spirits and their death. It's
not just like voices.
Not just voices. It's feelings. It's
because we're mediums and like we get it. We get it. We're with you.
I don't know if anyone knows a medium, maybe is related to a medium.
Wait, let us know.
Can you let us know?
I would love. I've never had a experience with a medium, but I honestly would totally love to do that. Okay,
like Teresa Caputo hasn't come up to you.
Oh my god!
I'm sorry. Do you have a departed? Did he choke on a meatball? Was it a cousin Vinny?
And you know what? She hasn't changed. Her hair is the same. Her flared nails are the same.
She said fan nails will never go out of style.
Will never go out of style. Fan nails, the fan French tip nails. Oh, she is amazing. And she's still rocking.
Is telling me.
Okay, I'm going to watch Long Island Medium today. I'm going to go on. I don't even know. I'm going to like go on the
TLC or something.
Yes,
like that.
We'll find it. We'll find it somewhere. Okay, you guys ready? Here is the first story. First off, obsessed with you ladies. I love the pod and get so excited to hear it every week. Anywho, my spooky story is not all my own, but it gives me chills anytime I think about it. When I was a baby, I would rarely get fussy at night, and one night I was crying so much that I woke my mom. When she got up to enter my bedroom, I stopped crying, so she was hesitant to go in and possibly wake me up. As she was standing in the doorway, she felt a push into my room, and as she walked in, she saw that my blanket was completely wrapped around my head. My mom believes that someone/something was there to get her to go into that room and save my little life. I would have suffocated if she didn't. Very freaking, very grateful for our ghost friend for my life.
Wow.
I just got chills.
Me too. My mouth dropped open.
I've skimmed over these stories, but like that gives me chills, you guys. Like, call it a mother's intuition, call it a little ghost friend that's like, get your ass in there and save that baby. I think that's why like babies don't sleep with blankets. I think that's against that. You just swaddle.
You throw it up into a bed with
nothing but like a little swaddle.
You like
they're wrapped like a little sausage. I think because we're not only mediums, but we also have kids.
We're also mothers.
And we know how to swaddle babies, and we know that role. But isn't that spooky?
That is so spooky.
Spooky.
You know what? Waking up in the middle of the night is
scary.
It's scary.
Scary in itself.
Alrighty. Hey, besties. I wanted to start off by saying I absolutely love your podcast. I'm 26 years old, currently 31 weeks pregnant. Oh, congratulations.
Yay, congrats.
Girl. And I don't have many friends, and listening to you guys during this pregnancy has made me feel way less alone.
We love you.
We're happy to be here
and
with
congrats,
you.
you're almost a mother if you aren't already, but that's so exciting.
If you need help knowing how to swaddle.
If you need advice on how to swaddle and like how to be a mother, just like reach out to us. We're here for you.
Anyways, as for my spooky story, my parents bought their house that they are still in, knowing the old woman who had lived there passed away, in what turned out to be my bedroom. My brother's room was across the hall, and they had set up a bed for when he was born so my mom could breastfeed and lay with him at night. They also knew that the woman who had passed away had a husband who was in the military. One day my mom was home alone, and she was coming up the stairs and says someone was in a military uniform walking from my room to my brother's room. She said she knew it was a ghost of the husband who lived there. A couple of other times when she would be in my brother's room, it would get very, very cold, and all of a sudden she would feel like there was someone there somehow. Honestly, if I would have been me, I would have moved out of there so fast, but obviously it did not bother her that much. Anyways, thanks for listening to my spooky story.
Isn't that spooky?
That's just spooky.
How do you feel about knowing that somebody, because so many people die in homes, whether they just want to pass in the comfort of their own home or something. I feel like that's a little different. I feel like if somebody was like murdered in a home, that would be a little bit different.
And those are things that have to be disclosed, obviously.
Do they have to be disclosed?
Yes, those are things that have to be disclosed.
Are you sure about that? Okay.
Definitely.
Because I listen to a lot of true crime, but this is also like my true crime that I listen to is always like back in like the 20s through the like 90s. So I don't know if realty was different.
I'm not entirely sure if it's like natural death that has to be, but murders, I am feeling confident and can say with my chest that has to be disclosed.
Because we're also realtors. So we
okay, I might be without a job at the moment, but I have many jobs.
Which, yes, and that's exactly what we're doing here. But we will give the update on Chucha's life when she's ready. Like what we've been saying it for a couple weeks.
Right when I got ready, just another thing said, ooh, boom.
Yeah.
Punch her straight in the fucking face.
Yeah.
So
she's been knocked down a little bit by the universe recently.
It's testing me. If anyone needs to know anything though, my big 3 are cardinal signs. And if anyone
is into that,
I'm just going to leave it at that. You'll know that my time is almost done. I'm a Capricorn, Sun, Aries rising, Cancer moon. I'm fucking tired.
Yeah. And you're working out of this cycle that you've been in for 15 years 16 years, and you soon will be entering a new cycle of like prosperity. So it's soon, but yeah, that's scary. I don't know I don't even know if somebody like who like peacefully passed in their home. I just don't know, because I feel like obviously I'm a medium. So it's like, if I were to move into a home with that, I just feel like I would feel it.
Okay. But you probably would feel it. And I reckon that we've actually been in houses where I reckon.
Where? Who?
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. Mom and Dad's first house out
here. Oh, low-key, yeah.
I think something.
That back room in the corner.
That back room was dark. It was
something
super
was
dark.
going on.
Something was there. Something, you could feel it. But this is the thing, is that I don't think I necessarily have an issue with a spirit being in a house if it's a kind spirit and if it's somebody that is just
Hanging
watching
out.
over that space and is
Mhm.
respectful and things like that.
Yeah.
The ones that are dark and demonic, I'm calling someone to
Which
come
I think
in.
everybody is gonna say that.
Well, yeah, of course, but
But it's like well,
I'm
some people, though, then they get attached to those scary ones,
yeah,
and then they can't let go, and
it's
then it takes over
crazy.
their I don't know if we wanna get into that, but it is I don't know. I don't know how I feel about moving into a house where somebody has passed, which, like, again, so many people have, like, peacefully passed in their homes. Maybe some people have, like, had accidental deaths in their homes and stuff, but it's just like, how do you know? How do you know? But I would know
You
as
know
I
what this
walk into the
reminds
house.
me of?
Hmm.
One of the most goated seasons of American Horror Story, Murder House.
I honestly didn't watch American Horror
Oh my
Story all the way
god.
through.
But you watched season 1, right?
Yeah, I did, but
Oh,
it was like 6 years ago or something.
no, longer than that.
Yeah, it was a long
Yeah,
time ago. How old am I?
and
Okay, maybe
I
it
wanna
was
say it was, like,
longer.
maybe, like, 8 years ago.
Ugh. Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
long time ago to where I forget. Honestly, I feel like I really wanna dive into American Horror Story because I only
Mhm.
watched the 1st season, and then I think I started the 2nd, but I never got all the way through, and then I
Season
just
1 and
ended.
season 3 are hands down my favorite. I think
Interesting. How many are there?
after Coven, you can honestly just taper off, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah, that's fair. Although I do wanna see Kim K in the most recent
I hear
one.
it's good. I don't know. Let us know.
Maybe we'll fuck around and do it and find out.
Oh, this is a long one.
Yeah, this is a long one. I got it. Okay, are we ready? Years ago, my sister and some friends would volunteer to be scarers in our town's haunted fort where people could come and walk through 3 different buildings to be scared. The first year we did this, we volunteered on October 27th. This date is important later. We were dressed up for the doll house, which of course had a creepy doll theme to it. Now, these houses have actually historical backgrounds to them, where during off-season, schools will tour here and learn about the properties and history and all who lived there years ago. Well, the house we were scaring people in is known to be haunted itself by the mother of the house. I forget her name. People have said during normal tours that they've heard singing and footsteps coming from her room. Anyways, that night after the last group of people came through to be scared, we started to gather up to head back to the front desk to clean up and go home. So it was pretty late, almost 1 a.m. We thought we had everyone accounted for and we were about to leave the house when all of a sudden we swear we hear footsteps and someone faintly humming, of course, coming from the mother's room. We don't lead any guests through that room, so we all looked at each other confused and slightly scared, but we figured someone was just playing a joke on us. So my sister and I felt brave enough to barge through the door and try to scare the person that was playing this joke on us. When we ran in there, though, there was no one. Then my sister screams and runs out of the room, causing me to get scared and follow her out. We get out to the group and everyone's asking what's wrong. I explain how we didn't see anyone, and then my sister cuts in, swearing she saw a shadow in the corner of the bed. I refused to go back in to see, so some others did. They didn't notice anything weird except the clock above the bed had stopped at 1:13 a.m. We didn't think anything of it until the next day when we met up with some other friends and people who work and volunteer at the fort all year for breakfast. We told them what had happened because of course it freaked us out. And after we told them about the clock stopping at 1:13, an older gal became pale in the face. She thought we were joking. Once she realized we weren't, she told us that in their records, the mother's time of death was October 27th, 1979 at 1:13 a.m. We all became pale in the face too after hearing that. I thought that my sister was going to barf up her breakfast. I have full body chills.
My my
Chills.
my legs
Oh my
have little
gosh.
goose pimples. My arms have goose pimples.
Wow.
Ooh, a
Isn't
little
that
shiver up my
spooky?
spine. That is
Raise your
so
hand if you
spooky.
go to those scary haunted houses. I've been to one. Have you been to one?
Yeah.
I've been to one. I went to one in high school
Okay.
and it was fun, but it was kind of like, I think they set up like portable houses for the haunted house. Like
Oh,
it wasn't
yeah.
like you're in an old historical home. That would be way more fun. It was like out in Livermore, California, if anybody
I
is familiar. So
went
it's
to
kind
one
of,
in San Francisco last year, and it was one of the most interesting, or no, 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago, I went to one, and it was hands down one of the most interesting experiences
was it
of my life.
spooky?
Yes and no.
Okay. Yeah, no, that really was, I felt like I was there with you saying that. Thank you so much for being so in detail and really just going in.
I'm just here to deliver.
Oh my God.
Maybe I'll recount my stories from a different time.
Maybe another life.
Maybe another life, but that's crazy.
That's
That's
spooky. That
spooky.
is so
I
spooky.
believe
I
you.
believe
I
it.
believe
You're
it.
seen, you're heard here. We believe you.
Alrighty. Scary bestie tale. My mom looked 2 murders in the eyes. That's the title.
That's the story.
That's it.
That's it.
And
Cut.
we're done. Hi, bestie gals. I love you both so much, and now I'll cut to the chase. My mom, love you so much, Mama T.
Shout out to Mama
Shout out to Mama
T.
T. We love you. Was 15 years old when she looked two murderers right in the eyes. It was 1978. 1978. We were just speaking about how crazy during the 70s and 80s murderers were.
Well, yeah, because there was no tracking of serial killers and I'm obsessed with true crime, you guys, like obsessed with it. But of course, like the 60s and 70s and 80s was running rampant with because there was like no DNA evidence, there was no cell phones, there was no tracking,
Mm-mm.
there was no video cameras. Like you could get away with so fucking much back then. It
No,
almost blows my mind how
it's
quickly it's
so
changed.
scary.
Can't get away with anything
Okay,
now.
it was 1978. My mom was babysitting her niece, and they have just gone outside to ride bikes. For context, the town we live in is small, about 1,000 people, and my mom lived on a rural road growing up. They could recognize people who drove by, they knew the people in the cars, and on this particular day, a car she didn't recognize came speeding down the road, literally flying. But when the two men in the car spotted my mom and her niece, the car slowed down to a crawl. Ugh. They slowed way down, drove by at a snail's pace, and they never broke eye contact with her the whole time. She kicked her into gear and she told her niece to get inside. She just knew something was wrong. Boy was she correct. These two men were on their way to a rural road just a few miles up the home from where my mom grew up to dump and burn the body of a 13-year-old girl they had just kidnapped and murdered from a few towns over. That's horrible.
I know.
They found her body a few days later after a friend of my mom's discovered some discarded clothing in the area and called the police. The two men were eventually caught and charged with the little girl's murder, and they were both sentenced to life in prison. Good riddance. To this day, she says just the look in their eyes made her stomach turn, and she just knew something wasn't right. Even her niece, who never listened to anyone, could hear in her tone that she meant business. They dropped their bikes where they stood, ran inside, and locked the doors. It was truly this scary experience and something she's never forgotten to this day. Finally, my love goes out to the family that lost their little girl that day. I hope you enjoyed the crazy story. Love you, besties.
Same with us. So
I
sorry to
know.
that family.
So
How
horrible.
horrible is that? But it's like the intuition and also I guess living in like a small town, you just that's part of living in a small town, that like safety net that you kind of have
Right.
because you just know everybody and everybody knows you, that when you can spot something that is like not right almost immediately. And it's just so sad and so scary how that is, but also just knowing it's like the gut intuition knowing that that's like creepy as fuck. Any car that
Totally.
slows down with anybody, man or woman, it doesn't matter, like super scary, but also like her being like, get in right now. And the little girl also just knowing right away. It's just this intuition. And like, who knows what would have happened if, you know, they didn't listen to their intuition. It's so
It's
scary.
so
And
scary.
it's so
I'm happy
sad.
that they are okay.
Mhm.
Very sad for that poor girl.
And it's like something that I just feel like it'll just haunt you forever. Like
And
the
it
mom,
that
like
that
she
kind of thing
just
like rocks a small
oh
town
my god,
forever.
yeah.
It's talked about for generations and generations.
And it's just something that mom will probably never forget the look of those two guys. Oh gosh, it's
Ew.
just so scary and so tragic and sad. Okay, next story. Okay, this might be a long one, but I already know not to apologize for the stories or long stories. If you know, you know. That's true. Don't you dare. When I was 9 years old, my family moved into a new house. A few years prior to this, my childhood best friend passed away from leukemia. I'm so sorry. When we moved into the new house, I was having some nightmares and would come into my parents' room in the middle of the night saying I was seeing someone in my room. Of course, my parents thought I was just having bad dreams and was nervous to be in the house with a new room. They never thought anything of it. Fast forward a few months into living in the house, my parents would come wake me up for school in the morning, but my bedroom door was locked. They kept telling me that it wasn't safe for me to be locking my door at night, but I kept telling them I wasn't doing it on purpose and I wasn't sure how it was happening. After it happened quite a few times, they started to get suspicious and freaked out. They decided to bungee cord my door open at night because they knew little 10-year-old me couldn't/wouldn't know how to use a bungee cord. They also did it while I was asleep so I wouldn't know what was happening next. The next morning, they woke up and the bungee cord that had been wrapped around another door about 5 times was found down the hallway in front of my parents' door. My bedroom door was shut and locked. No one heard the door slam at night, and they couldn't figure out how the bungee cord could have come undone without someone physically undoing it. As my dad was walking down the stairs, he sees a face of a boy in the window of our front door. My parents were so freaked out, they had our church priest come to the house and bless my room. Tell me you went to private Catholic grade school without telling me, LOL. The door locking stopped, but I was still seeing the boy at the bottom of my bed at night, but I wasn't scared anymore. I never believed in anything superstitious, but I'm finally convinced that it was my childhood best friend's way of still playing with me and telling me he was okay. It's safe to say that I fully believe in ghosts and the people you love sending messages after they pass. Happy Halloween. First of all, that is freaky. That is freaky. A bungee cord.
A bungee cord, like they fully like MacGyvered their
Even
way to that
okay,
situation.
so you know those bungee cords in the car, even when you use it and you just bring the bungee and you just hook the two hooks together,
Do you know
even
how
that
much
takes
force
a
that
lot of
takes?
tension.
Yes, that takes a lot of force to unhook.
Yes, it takes so much force to unhook. So if they wrapped it around super tight and hooked it, like that's crazy.
I wonder what kind of message was trying to be sent to you.
I know, but
You
I
know what I
also
mean?
love, and I feel like this comes with the, if you believe in this kind of stuff, like you just being like, you know what, I think that this is like my best friend just coming to say, I feel like that's something that you can just kind of like tap into as well. And just not,
Exactly. You
and
can
it's
make
not
peace
like
of the
delusional.
situation if it
Yeah.
doesn't feel threatening.
No, I think so. Like if it doesn't
Totally.
feel threatening, you'd be like, you know what, maybe that is my best friend coming to say hi. Which I'm so sorry that he passed.
Should have had mom write her story in.
Of what? Oh, yeah, our mom had some spooky,
crazy shit.
I think it was right after her parents had passed away in the house. Yeah. That was that's scary. Like where all the drawers and stuff were opened up, and then she went downstairs.
Came back, and it just like
something was off in the house.
Something was
Dark.
off, and they could like feel it.
Yeah.
And
And they had their dog at the time who was like going crazy. Who never does. And you know what? That's what the pets are for.
The pets are there.
Especially dogs, probably cats too, but I feel like especially dogs, they know. Like I'm like, if I see Gemma looking off and like barking into like a random space of our house, we're moving. We're out.
Who's there?
Who is there? We're out. I don't care. I trust her. We're done. Oh my God.
Man. Not super spooky. However, my soul cat passed away unexpectedly almost a month ago.
I'm sorry.
I was laying on the couch with my 2 other cats and my fiance was at work, so no one else was home. We have a Ring camera in our living room that has only picked up cat motion once from my now deceased cat, Henry. I look down at my phone and get a Ring notification that someone was in the front, however, no one had moved to cause it to go off. I'd like to think that it was Henry saying hi.
Rest in paradise. I know, isn't that perfect? I honestly didn't even really plan that. I swear that I did not plan that. But that's so true. I totally believe in that.
Henry 100% is
Rest in paradise, Henry, and just know that he's looking down on you, and that's exactly, he's just there with you, hanging out, just in a different form. And that was him totally saying hi.
Popping
I fully believe that. Okay, next story. Spooky story. Back in 2013, when I was a senior in high school, me and a few girls decided to go to this random haunted maze after the football game. Ugh. Hold on. Let's everybody just before we get into because this story is scary.
In 2013.
2013.
I was
Friday night.
Junior in high school.
Yes.
So yes, I'm loving this.
No, you would have been a senior in 2013 for football. Because then 2014 would have been
right. Girl,
you guys
we're
are the same age. Okay, so let's just take it back in time to era circa 2013, and let's give it to 2016 for all of my girlies because I was in high school from 2013 to 17. Yeah, so let's just like for the circa 2013 to 2017, Friday Night Lights, October. It's starting to cool off. You're
wearing
what are you wearing?
Bootcut jeans with like Uggs that are rolled down halfway. The long Uggs rolled down halfway. You're wearing like an oversized sweatshirt.
Yes.
Or like a cropped t-shirt kinda.
Yeah, like a baby cut.
Because like it wasn't really cropped on purpose. It just would be cropped because we all wore low-rise jeans.
Yeah, tough time. Maybe we fucked around and threw in a black choker.
Totally.
Sparkly.
iPhones were just kind of coming out.
Yeah, home buttons, of course.
Yes, home buttons, of course. I had a BlackBerry at this time.
You did a purple BlackBerry.
A purple BlackBerry because I was making business calls.
And she's always been a businesswoman.
I've always had a job. even when I didn't
She's
have
always
a job.
had a job. Even if she doesn't have one right now, she's always had one and she still does, technically.
I think I should go get a BlackBerry.
I think you should go get a BlackBerry. Do they still make them? They have to. That was such an important piece of our lives, was BlackBerries and Razor phones. Dad had a Razor. I wanted the pink Razor so bad.
So bad.
Okay, now we're going to continue with the story. I just was like teleported back in time to a very good moment.
Crazy.
Oh, circa 2013.
Crimped hair.
Oh, yes.
Kind of like, but not crimped with a crimper, crimped with hair gel. And like wet hair.
Wet hair. That is it.
Maybe
she was
side
her.
bang, side part for sure.
Ugh. Oh my God, I love it. Okay, anyways. Me and a few girls decided to go to this random haunted maze after the football game. So we drove an hour to there and it was the freakiest experience. It took us off the highway pretty early and we had to drive on these back roads and through this abandoned town. There was also a giant building in the middle of this cornfield that looked like it was straight out of Contagion. The GPS tells us to go down a dirt road and then turn again on an even narrower dirt road to get to this place. There are no lights around and definitely no signs for a haunted house. When we arrived at the destination, it was in the driveway of a double wide in the middle of nowhere. I had this terrible feeling in my gut, so we go to leave and my car is stuck. Shortly after, we see someone running towards us from the house with a knife. We finally got out and drove home, but I was numb. I've never been so scared in my life. The next day, we researched it a bit more and come to find that the haunted maze closed 5 years ago earlier because of a death. So, moral of the story, we almost died, and I haven't been back to a haunted house since. How fucking scary is that?
Wait,
that's like legit scary.
But whose idea was it to go to a haunted maze without doing a little recon work?
Who's doing recon at fucking 15 years old? Are you cardinal? 3 cardinals rule, whatever. 3 cardinal signs. Like, who? I would have done that same exact thing. I would have been like, oh, perfect.
I would have been like, I don't think I have a good feeling about this. Like, I read something bad about it or something.
God.
See, we are just
everybody needs a poop, but that's why we invited you. Potty poopa, poopa scoopa. Yeah, that's our little song that we like to sing. Very interesting. Very scary. That's like real life scary though, because that's like, it's not paranormal, that's just like fucking so scary.
No, that's just scary. I'm sorry.
I've gotten chills at every story. I don't know if you guys have. I want to
believe that I would go into like crazy like fight mode, be like, yeah, come at me, but no, I'd be flighty as fuck, running for my fucking life.
I would be
scared
screaming
as shit.
I would be screaming my fucking head off, screaming.
Oh boy.
Woo.
Oh boy. All right, here we go. Also, I'm so sorry that I have trouble reading. I genuinely, like, I know I say this.
Say it again.
I am dyslexic and it is very hard for me to read. Sometimes I just get things so mixed up and then I pause and then it's awkward.
And then you sometimes go into like a disassociation for a second.
I'm like just trying to calm myself.
And I think you forget that we're like doing this. You're kind of just like sit in a moment, which I allow you to have, that moment of silence. And then I'm like, should I come in and save the day?
I don't know.
Should I let her sit in that blank space?
You'll have to zoom in
because the
on my face when I go to a different realm.
The blanks, yeah, it's honestly been a lot lately, which is understandable given your current life situation, but it's okay. And
I don't nearly disassociate as much when I have like a good thing going on, right? A good routine, a good job, a good set of friends.
Again, recently you've been disassociating a lot.
Recently I've been like looking out the window
you guys,
and I'm like,
literally
would it hurt if I just ran straight into it?
The inner thoughts, her stairs have been going crazy recently, where I'm just like, sometimes when you zone out, it's like feels good to be in that space where you're just zoning out and you're like, oh, this feels great. But then sometimes I'm like, oh, she's in a whole different realm. I should probably save her from her thoughts. And I'll go like, what are we thinking about right now? And you just kind of look at me and you're like, you snap out of it and you're like, and you just give a sigh.
Yeah.
Raise
sometimes
your hand
Nash
if you're there.
will look and is like, oh, we lost her first.
Because Nash disassociates when he's staring at me and trying to listen to me. His eyes will then all of a sudden I see them at me and then I see them through me and they kind of part a little bit. He doesn't go full blown like his eyes are on two sides of his head, but I can tell immediately, and I'll kind of wave, and he's like, I'm listening. I'm like, no, you're not. He's gone. He's in a different world thinking about golf or Star Wars. It's fine. Okay.
Oh boy. All right, here we go. Alrighty. Okay, I was just thinking about this the other day. When I was around 8 or 9, my mom and I were home alone. My dad coaches football, and it was a Friday night, so he was gone until super late. Anyways, my mom and I were both on the couch watching one of those paranormal TV shows
About
about
Mothman.
Mothman.
Yeah, Mothman's he's like a Bigfoot
Oh, okay.
type thing.
Okay. About Mothman. Why my mother let me watch it at 8 or 9? No clue.
Because she's a good mother.
Because
We
she's a
did the
good
same
mom.
thing.
I'm
We would
sorry.
stay home.
Exposure therapy.
Yes, we would
You
stay home
need-
and watch
You need to know.
Ghost Adventures with Sue. And when Dad was coaching football sometimes on Friday nights when they'd have an away game, we'd do the same thing.
Oh my God, 100%.
Yeah.
We were watching the shit out of ghost shows.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, all right. Because of this, we were already a little on edge. Anyways, while we were watching, there is a light knock on the front door. We both look at each other. What was this real? Are we just on the edge? Anyways, my mom goes to check and there's no one there. We're like, OMG, okay, we are definitely just spooked. And then it happens again. This time, a normal knock on the front door. So my mom goes to check the peephole, and again, no one is there. At this point, we were just getting ding dong ditched. Then someone knocks on our dining room window. Oh, no, no, no. At this point, we are literally freaking the fuck out. We call my dad, and he's like, okay, I'll be home in 5 minutes. So we stay sitting on the couch trying not to freak out. There's knocking on every single window in our living room. These windows could only be accessed if you were in our backyard. My dad got home immediately after the knocks in the living room. The windows stopped and no one knocked again. We never figured out who it was. Creepiest memory I have.
I would be so freaked out. I'd be like, okay, we're selling the house and we're leaving. Like, if you have an experience like that, how do you just like live in obviously you're not going to just like pick up and sell your house and leave. Like, I'm being unrealistic, but let's just live in a hypothetical unrealistic world for a moment. I'm leaving. How can you stay in a house that is so fucking scary?
It is scary.
I would feel like that would just change the energy and everything in the environment.
Totally. Especially like on the windows. I think the windows are like different because it just is like you can like feel more like the knock on a door is like really powerful.
Yes.
Right? It's just like wood. It's super like you can like just know that it's a knock. But like knocking on the window, it's like you can hear the like fingers, right? You can like hear the knuckles. It's like weird. It's like a different kind of ugh. I feel like mom and I had an experience like that once watching Ghost Adventures at party. And I was sitting in the chair right next to the window. And mom was on the couch with Ollie. And it was like a Friday night kind of thing. I shit you not, something like knocked on that window and like mom was unfazed. She was like, honestly, come at me. And I was
Sue is going to be Sue should be a paranormal investigator.
Sue could look it straight in the eye and be like,
the ghost would be scared of her.
No, it would and be like, oh, actually
better not.
I'm
maybe not.
league.
Oh, they'd be like, oh fuck, it's Sue. We gotta go.
Suey.
We gotta go. Next house.
Yeah.
That's how they would be.
That's why it's like we'll never be able to go on a ghost tour with Sue because she'll just sit there and just repel this energy that's like,
she will.
I don't really think we feel like putting on a show tonight.
Yeah.
You on
she
the
believes
other hand,
in it, but
I feel like
I'm like, come
Sophia gets like sick when we'll go to like haunted spots or something like that. She's like, I'm gonna throw up.
Yeah,
like her
we had
whole
like
body.
we had one case. Maybe I'll say after because we only have one more story after this, and I feel like have a little bit of time, so maybe I can share my story. Okay, so let me share this story because this is actually this one's a scary one. So be warned. My great grandfather was a murderer. I love you so much, Soph and Chooch, but I'm gonna get right at it because this one's a doozy. We love you. Okay.
Those two sentences backed up together.
What? Oh, my great grandfather was a murderer. By the way, I love you guys so much. I love it. I love the besties. Okay. My mom grew up never knowing who her grandfather was, and her parents refused to tell her anything about him. After her dad, my grandfather, passed, she reached out to a historian to find out. The historian told her that her great grandfather was Joe Sam Walker. In 1948, Joe Sam Walker was accused and convicted of murdering Teresa Foster, an engineering student at the University of Colorado.
You cannot trust a man with multiple first names as his full name.
Joe Sam Walker. That's true.
I'm sorry.
I know, but this is 1948. They only had maybe 6 names that people were being called.
And I would say it in 1948 like I would today in 2024.
Say it again. Okay. In 1948, Joe Sam Walker was accused and convicted of murdering Teresa Foster, an engineering student at the University of Colorado. This case was huge at the time as Teresa's death marked the first homicide of a University of Colorado student in their 72-year history and the first murder in Boulder in 9 years. And guess who had rightfully turned him in? My great-grandmother. He had been arrested before, and she noticed he was acting incredibly weird. He came home the night of the murder covered in blood because of a fight, and her gut told her to call the police. What a badass bitch. Truly. He eventually admitted to giving Teresa a ride that night in the car, but claimed someone else murdered her. Flash forward through a long and controversial trial. My great-grandfather was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 80 years in prison. After serving 20 years, he was released because of excessive pretrial publicity. My grandfather cut ties with his father and changed his last name, and in 1982, my great-grandfather took his own life, which, very sorry. Obviously, that is a crazy family lineage. Could you imagine, like, being her mom, not knowing who her, like that side of it?
No, that's
And then
crazy.
finding out this later, you'd be like, oh my God, isn't that spooky?
It is spooky. That's
Which I'm sorry, because that's a very tragic story to have in your family. But first of all, good for your great grandmother. That is badass.
Yeah, that is badass,
For
especially
her
like during that time.
during that
like,
time to
yeah,
like go against your man, because there are so many true crime stories that I listen to where the wives are just as into it by saying nothing. You know, saying nothing is saying something when it comes to this. And good for her in 1948 for being like, I'm not fucking around with this.
I would like, I don't wish we had something juicy like that.
We don't.
We don't have anything juicy.
We might, but we just don't know. Not something like this close to our like lineage though.
Totally.
Because that's like a very
That's crazy.
close lineage.
That's like somebody, like you could have known them
Yeah.
growing up. Like that could have been somebody in your life. There's so many people that are blessed to have grandparents live and great grandparents live.
Yeah, no, it's true. Okay, so back a couple years ago, when I was still living in Reno, there is a city called Virginia City that's only like a 25-minute drive from Reno. And we're thinking, like, I know there's a lot of history on the East Coast of like very long, old history, a lot of different kinds of history on the East Coast. But on the West Coast, we're talking like wild, wild West, cowboys,
Mining.
saloons, prostitution, gambling, casinos, like all of that kind of stuff. Okay. So we went to Virginia City, my mom, my sister, and I, and we've been before.
It's a horrible town.
It's a very, and it, you guys,
want to make that very
if
clear.
you ever go, yeah, it's a pretty crazy town. If you ever go just to like see what it's like, it is straight out of like the early 1900s. Like it is, it has not
like
changed.
Preserved in a sense.
Yes.
In many ways.
In many ways.
Would say.
Like the main street is like pretty much preserved as it has been or as it was back in the day. So you've got like saloons, you've got all these different things. So we visited and we were kind of putzing around because there's some things to do there. And we go to the old Washoe Club, which if you are a paranormal person or if you watch Ghost Adventures, Ghost shows,
like
Ghost Adventures did a like overnight stay at the old Washoe Club because it is super, super haunted. There's a bar on the first floor, like saloon, and then on the second and third and fourth stories, there's like a hotel that people like brothel-y hotel. Like, prostitution stuff back in the day, whatever. So we are kind of going around, we go in the bar, whatever. This is like broad daylight. And then right next to the bar, like you can walk up these stairs that are straight out of like 1928 or whenever the fuck this city was made. The carpet and everything, the stairs, I don't think have been changed or reconstructed at all. So you walk up these stairs that's next to it, and then you kind of get up to where you can do a walkthrough of the hotel part of it. And it's so creepy and eerie. And I was like, we almost didn't go up, but I was like, no, you guys, when else are we going to do this? That's the last time like we all went to Virginia State. We're probably never going to go back.
That was my first and last time. Like it wasn't like, this isn't like a annual trip.
Yeah, no, we didn't do a Virginia. No, this was just like I think you guys had moved me in to college or something or you came to visit one weekend and we're like, let's just go. It's only 25 minutes away. Anyways, I was like, you guys, when are we ever going to do this? Like, let's go up. So we go upstairs, whatever. We're kind of walking around and I immediately feel like so uneasy and like heaviness on my chest. And there's this other family in there. It's like a mom, dad, and I think like a daughter or something. Or two daughters or something. And they had like backpacks on. Like they look like they were like Okay, paranormal people. So they were talking about it and they were like spitting some facts because we've already seen the Ghost Adventures episode. So we were already familiar with this. And like, Zach Bagans and we want answers, answers,
I
answers.
know that there's people
I
that
know
know
that there's some people out there who
exactly.
are going to be laughing about that. Okay, anyways, and they were talking, they're like, oh yeah, like we love Ghost Adventures. And we're like, oh, we're huge fans too. Like, this is why we're here. And they're like, same here. Like, we're doing the ghost tour and everything. And I was standing next to this room that's kind of right up the stairs when you go around the corner. It's like almost one of the first or second rooms to the left. And I felt so nauseous, like in my throat and my stomach. And I felt like this heaviness all over me. I started to feel really faint and unwell. And the girl was like, oh, yeah. And that room right there is where the prostitute had like killed herself. She had like committed suicide in the like bathtub or something. But she straight up was like, yeah, that room is right where the prostitute had killed herself. And I was like, I had to get out of there. So immediately I like turned to my mom and sister. I was like, you guys, I have to go. Like, I cannot be here anymore. Like, I do not feel good at all. I was walking down the stairs. I felt so nauseous and so sick to my stomach. And as soon as we stepped outside into like broad daylight, it just was like a veil was lifted off and poof, it was gone. I was fine. I was like, okay, that's all. That's
the story.
that's it. And that's the story. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm tapped into the other side. After that, I was like, I am a medium and also a mother
And a realtor.
and a realtor and an investigator and all the different things. But yeah, that's kind of my spooky story. Very scary. But you guys, that was fun. Hopefully you guys had fun. I know this was kind of like heavy. Some of the stuff we talked about was heavy. So it wasn't fun in the sense of like some of the things that we heard was not fun. But this episode, I think spooky tales. And I know we've got some other true crime girlies out there like myself who is fascinated and interested by this kind of stuff. But in lieu of it being Halloween and spooky season, we thought that this would kind of be like a fun little spin-off episode. Yay. And hopefully you guys liked our costumes. I mean, you can rate the costumes.
Asses off.
Yeah, no, I'm actually pooling, and so I feel like this was actually my workout. I'm good after this. But we appreciate you guys hanging with us today and sending your stories in and always just being just the best people. And we love you guys so much. And I guess we'll just talk to you soon when we give you an update on Chooch's life. Woo. Bye.
Bye.